Last half year I made 10 short videos here on YouTube. They are an expression from entanglement between number and shape in combination with color. Most art you see is an expression from manifestations under pressure within this web. This all to describe the basics from our universe. Our universe, the web in which everything what's possible is possible. Before I made these videos, I wrote a paper about this web. I will make a video book for you here on YouTube in a later video. This video is about the past and the future. In the past we looked up in the sky and saw bright dots, stars we call them, and we drew imaginary lines between them. Today we know that when we zoom in on a dot, again we see more dots. It's a neural network of dots. So when we could see the whole universe inside a star, inside a dot, inside a single atom, there's only one thing to do. We dive inside a star to examine the dot and use the basics from my book. But before we dive into the dot, we ask a question to overthink. Do we live in an explosion or could we live in an implosion? So let's dive inside our dot. We have to overthink a few things. First, we have to look what the Platonic solids mean. The Platonic solids, we have to combine them. You know, I made a little star, and in the star you see the triangular shapes, you see the hexagon, and when we take the cube, you think about spheres and everything. When we take the cube, where we see 12 dots, and we cover the 6 dots we see, we cover them with a triangular shape. But when we would place the dots here on this side, 6 ones, you could also see the hexagon. So this is how it looks on the cube. Again you see the star shape, and then we realize that it's not flat in front of us, it's up in the sky. So when we now look down on the cube, we could just imagine the cube is up in the sky, and then this is what we see. And now when we now look from the side, we see that 6 dots are above and 6 dots are below. As above, so below. But again, this is what we see when we look up in the sky. And then we should think about 2 things. We have manifestations within our web, and we have the web ourselves. And let's first speak about the web just by energy and vibration. The dots who move, or the dots we see when something moves. So we know that when we zoom in on a cube, we see 27 cubes. And this is an image of 81 cubes when we look at the 3 blocks. And I show it because this is the basic shape which I see when we look to the star. And now I showed you the 27 cubes, so one cube, when we zoom in we see 27 cubes. It means we see 27 times 12 dots, 324 dots. 162 dots above, 162 dots below. And then we could do the calculation for the 3 dots. So then we spoke about manifestation within the web, and I showed you that the manifestation within the web, it's divided 12 and 15. So from the 27 cubes from our network, when we manifest ourselves, then it starts with 12, and then you could think about the 36. So when we have 12 cubes, then it would mean we have 12 times 12 dots. It's 144 dots. So when you take 144 dots and you multiply it by 3, we get the magical number 432. So 432, again, you could divide it in above and below. So now we have this shape. 3 times 144 dots. 1, 2, 3. Again, when we zoom in on one manifestation within the web, you see it's nice. We start with a solid cube with only 12 dots, and the cube is, well, you cannot look inside. It looks like there's no space for other cubes. But now we have the same space. It's not bigger, it's not smaller, but we have 144 dots. Now we zoom in again and we multiply. You see, more empty space and more dots. So when we would do the calculation from the points which this is connected, of course everything is connected by the aura around our network, then we could see that these 3 are not glued together, these 6 are not glued together, and of course these 3 also not glued together, but they only connect on 12 points, and underneath the 12 points you find 12 times 4 numbers. So then when we imagine we see this 3 times, and we could zoom in again and again and again, and every time we get more space and more numbers. So it's very nice to overthink. And then when we do linear algebra, or we calculate vector spaces, we go to the classical instruments. This you could see as a graph, but well, think about it, how this cube, how you divide the dots equal in the old graph. So it's nice to think about it, and well, see you again later. Thanks for watching.